Hello, Northside baseball viewers. Welcome back to another video. Brandon and Ethan here for another video, and we have something to talk about. And we're no strangers to this. It's another injury. It's another injury, Brandon. But it's not from our bullpen this time. It's from our outfield. Ian Happ is injured. And he has let's see, what does he have? He has a oblique injury. Man,
Yeah,
what a surprise. So many oblique injuries this season. But from the ashes, as I always say, rises a phoenix in the form of Moises Ballesteros, somebody that we talked about quite a bit last year. So let's go into it. Brandon, let me hear your immediate thoughts about Moises.
yeah. I think obviously the Happ injury hurts. He's a really good defensive left fielder. He's a really good leadoff hitter for this team, which is a very, very difficult role to fill. And the role that I'm not quite sure PCA is ready to fill. Although he's been great this year. I just don't quite know if his profile is perfectly suited for what the Cubs are looking to do at the top of the lineup. But regardless, it's nice that the Cubs can lose Ian Happ for what'll probably be like close to a month. Again, we don't have an exact timeline, but for maybe something like 3 or 4 weeks. And hey, Seiya Suzuki will slide into left field, and then we'll bring up our top hitting prospect, not named Matt Shaw, and hopefully we'll be just fine. And let's talk about Ballesteros. He's a really, really good hitter. He is probably the best pure hitting prospect the Cubs have had since Chris Bryant. I know that sounds outrageous to a lot of people. That obviously that 2016, 2015 team had a lot of really great hitting prospects. He's probably most comparable to Kyle Schwarber on that team. Um, but Ballesteros is really, really good at the plate. He had like a 153 WRC plus last year. Before getting called up this year, he had a 150 WRC plus in AAA as the youngest player in AAA. He's just a pure lefty hitter. He gets on base a lot. He has great control of the strike zone. He's got a nice, quick, compact swing. He didn't have a great MLB debut. He grounded out 4 times, but it's the MLB debut. It's a very, very, adrenaline's pumping. You're looking for your pitch to hit. But overall, I think that his impact in the lineup is going to be very reminiscent of what Kyle Schwarber did back when he debuted for the Cubs as a rookie.
I think it's really interesting too because when we originally started talking about Moises, when he was first kind of introduced as a star player, even in the minor leagues, something that we were talking about is, was he going to be an outfielder? Was he going to be a catcher? We talked so much about him offensively, but I also want to talk about him defensively. He is great defensively. He gets outs like it's nothing. So I think it's also, again, Ian Happ is a great player, right? And again, he's a power hitting threat. We're replacing him with Moises, also a power hitting threat. But again, we needed somebody to cover, excuse my French, but cover our ass when it came to playing the Marlins or maybe not the Rockies, um, but the White Sox, right? And I think that it's a no-brainer to bringing him up again. And again, like you said, it's kind of like getting stage fright when it's your MLB debut. I think that so many players look at Matt Shaw, for example, for his first few games, he did really poorly, and then he finally got his first hit maybe like 3 games in, and it got us a few runs. Like it just happens, especially to a lot of minor leaguers. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think, patience is key here. Matt Shaw got sent back down to the minors. He's still working through some things. The same may happen to Ballesteros. I know you've always sort of uh, disagreed with the consensus that you think Ballesteros is a much better defender than I think a lot of other people do. He's definitely not a long-term catcher in my opinion, but regardless of where you think his long-term defensive home is, I think it is probably a DH just because I don't think he's a very good defender. It is, it's important that the Cubs have bats like this waiting in the wings because in recent years, if Ian Happ went down, what was the answer? They had Mike Talkman, I guess, last year, and he was fine, but like, there was no Ballesteros waiting in the wings. There was no really high quality bat that was gonna come up or that was sitting on the bench like there is this year. And so again, it's a testament to what the Cubs have been building towards, which is very clearly this season, and clearly that they are going to be very aggressive with how they manage this season because they realize they're the best team in the NL Central. But ultimately, I think the thing that fans should be watching for in these next couple weeks, where Ballesteros is with the big league team before maybe he gets sent back down when Ian Happ comes back, is watch very carefully how his plate approach adjusts over the next few games that he plays because he evolves very, very quickly to the level that he plays at, and he did it at every single level in the minor leagues. He was very aggressive in his MLB debut, as we've discussed. He was looking for pitches to hit very early in counts. That's not going to be the case for him in the long term. I think watch really carefully. He'll take a lot of pitches on the fringes of the strike zone. He'll be more patient, let the ball come to him, and I'm very excited to see once he gets settled in, if he gets a chance to get settled in this sort of cup of coffee, he might, if he can catch fire, he'll stick with the big league team for the rest of the season.
Yeah, one thing I also want to end on, and it's a good note here, is I give credit a lot to our farm system because every team is different on how they kind of obtain players. Some teams it's like, all right, we're gonna just keep trading and we'll just get veteran on veteran on veteran. But something I'll give the Cubs credit for is for the past few years, we really have relied on our farm system. And I'm gonna always shout out people like Javier Assad, Pete Crow Armstrong, and hopefully, again, knock on wood on this, Moises Ballesteros, because again, we've seen him do great things in the minors, and hopefully now, just like his predecessors from the past few years, he can also show up in the majors. So, as always, we'd love to hear your comments, concerns, questions in the comments below, and we will respond to you as always.